Welcome to Open Invite. This episode is brought to you by Royalty Street. More on that soon. Today's guest is a jack of all trades and very often a master of them as well. She finds herself in all sorts of leadership roles because she's always up for a challenge. She travels the world with curiosity, and she just got back from Taiwan to be here with us today. Please welcome my good friend, Josie.
What's up? No, it's good to be back here.
Thank you for being here with us today. I know you just got back from Taiwan.
Mm-hmm.
How was that?
It was really fun. I had a great time there. It's pretty humid though, so
yeah, lots
of sweating, but less hot than here.
Oh.
It was raining quite a bit when we were there, like small drizzles.
Yeah.
So like it was kind of annoying sometimes when we want to have plans and stuff, but in general, it did make the weather cooler.
Nice. And why did you go over there? Was it to visit family?
Yeah, well, kind of a mix of both. Thing is like next year and like the years after, not sure how free my summers will be. So it's like I kind of want, like hopefully look for gigs, internships, so and so. And so it's like if this is my last year to kind of just like, dilly-dally around. I was like, I kind of want to go back to Taiwan at least like one more time, see family, kind of just vacation for fun.
And I tried to bring you some boba. We tried to get boba from our favorite boba place here.
Milk tea
because,
bar.
Yeah, the milk tea bar.
Yeah.
Whenever you were over there, I was like watching all of your stories. And it's super fun to see all of the sites that you were going to see. And then it was super fun to like watch the boba saga.
Especially in Taiwan, it's just really, really, really cheap. It's like $2 a cup.
Dude, I heard that just in general in Taiwan, if you try to go there and live there and get an apartment, you're probably not going to get an apartment that has a kitchen. Because the food and eating out culture in Taiwan is so cheap.
I'm not entirely sure about the kitchen part because it's not like really apartments. It's more like, I guess condos are like pretty much similar. But like the style of building is very like vertical. Like it's just stack upon stacks upon stacks.
Yeah.
It kind of just depends on what you get. And like you usually have like some freedom to also like remodel if you want. Yeah. Like my aunt, though she is kind of rich, she kind of turned hers into like an LA looking like style.
Yeah.
So it's like it was kind of funny whenever we went to her place because you would like look at the walls and see all like the older like grates and like AC vents, and then you see that one really modern one, and that one was hers.
Just a one really modern house.
Yeah.
Have you seen the movie Parasite?
I actually haven't.
Oh, okay.
I know. I'm a fake film major.
Hey, I totally get it. I was a film major as well, and I was also a fake film major, quote unquote, because the way that they say it is like there's two types of film majors. It's like the majors that know every movie, know every director, know every scene, and then you have the film majors that actually make movies. And so maybe you're just that kind of person.
It's like I go in there and you're like, yo, like, what's your favorite movie? I'm like, oh no, I kind of like Kung Fu Panda. I thought that was pretty good. like, I'll be honest, if you put me in a film trivia, I'll probably do no better than like a STEM person. I kind of just like cameras and stuff. Like, I just think they're cool.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
And I think true to the intro, like you are very much a jack of all trades. You just really like to experiment with different things.
I just like to side quests.
You like to what?
Side quests? Yeah. Like, I feel like life is so good when you just go out and do different things.
Where do you think that stems from for you?
I just like doing fun stuff. I think it's like, okay, this is going to sound like a cheesy college essay intro. As a kid, I always loved being creative.
Yeah.
It just especially got more as like in middle/high school when I got really into band and like theater. I guess just always thought those were like really, really fun. And I really, really liked band, as you probably know.
Yeah. I don't know how the structure was for the band majors, but you were one of the band majors,
one of the
right?
drum majors, yes.
Was there even like a main one?
There was. Kevin Chung was the head drum major.
The sax player.
Yeah.
Nice.
For our...
Shout out Kevin.
For our time. And me and the other girl, Ivana, were the associates.
How did you find yourself being a like drum major and getting in that leadership role?
I was friends with like Kevin and Ivana and like some others, and Kevin wanted to be drum major, and he's like, I'll teach you guys. And I was like, sure, why not? Yeah. I tried out for drum major and then like got it. I was like, this is pretty
I feel
cool.
like the start of all of your journeys is the little why not? It ends up being like, oh, look, I'm at the top.
It actually is. Like, it's so much just like...
Because you were the valedictorian of your class, right?
It's still kind of crazy to me sometimes. I think like a lot of it was like back in middle school, I was just like, oh, like academic wise, I think I'm going to try for a top 10. Like that was genuinely my goal. I was like top 10. Definitely not 1, maybe like 4, 3. Like I think that's the goal, right? And then at the end of freshman year, apparently like people were asking about the ranks, and I was like, oh, let me check what mine is. So I like emailed my counselor. I was like, hey, what's my rank? Because like at this point, it didn't have it on student self-serve yet.
Yeah.
And I remember the email so distinct. She emailed back with big blue text. I don't know why but it was like that, and it was just like, oh, congrats, you're rank 1. And I was like, what?
Was it high pressure?
Not really, because my family never like, contrary to like the Asian family belief, I think like my mom especially tried really hard to like make sure she wasn't like a tiger mom or put unnecessary stress on us. She kind of just let us do what we did. Like obviously there was like expectation of like don't fail everything.
Yeah.
But like she
don't fail everything.
but like she didn't get onto us for like a minor slip or anything. I think though for me personally, I definitely had like felt some pressure stemming from like I think middle school and maybe before, because do you know like the LEAP program?
Yeah.
Everyone in there is so like competitive.
Dang.
And then especially like middle school me, who like, you know, middle schoolers aren't fully conscious.
Yeah.
So you see everyone around you being like, oh my god, guess what guys, I already learned geometry. And I'm like, shoot bro, what's geometry? So I think like back in middle school I felt it, but I think in high school it was like honestly a lot more freer. I think especially against everyone else in my class, the class of 24. Shout out
class of 2024.
Class of 24, like I think especially even top 10, like the thing is a lot of us had like interests outside of just academics, because like Frances Valedictorian, she was really big into choir, athletics, track, all that. Like I know she did a lot as well. And then everyone else as well also had their own thing, whether it was like tennis, orchestra, you know, different sort of like clubs. And I feel like in the top 10, I never really felt like I needed to like fight for my spot, like fight to the death for it. It was more just like if I can maintain it, like this is pretty cool.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if not, that's all right, because I am dedicating my time elsewhere to AMAT, to band, to theater, to various things. So it's like, it's expected if, you know, it slips here and there.
Dude, you know what this reminds me of? You're kind of into gaming culture, right?
Yeah.
Gaming culture, meme culture, internet culture. I feel like every time that we converse online, you always have a really funny retort, and I'm like, damn, she is tapped in. But this reminds me of the way that Dota 2 handled their ranking system when it came to competitive play. What they did was, at the top 0.5% of competitive play, they made all those matches private, so that people couldn't go in and scrape all the data and figure out what the meta was. You know what a meta is, right?
Yeah.
They couldn't figure out what the meta was. And so what that led to was like all of the people underneath couldn't see what the best pro players in the world were doing. So they all just kind of had to do their own thing and try off meta stuff in order to like, it just made the gameplay a lot more fun, because like no one was like using one build. And that's kind of what happened with you guys. There was no meta. Everyone was kind of doing their own thing and playing off meta builds. And then you rose to the top.
I think like the funny thing is, if I was just one grade below, I don't think I would have even made the cutoff for top 10.
What?
That was the disparity in like GPAs between like our class and the other classes. Like it's pretty crazy.
So your class was just a lot more
I think like I like to say we were all just like chill. And I think it was like this like mutual agreement upon everyone that was like, go have fun. Like
Dude.
Go do some other stuff, and we'll all just like, you know, do the best we can. And like
you kind of find yourself in places and situations where like you get to experiment. And so like you're in the film academy there, you're a film major. And so like, are you able to go into the like rental rooms and be able to check out cameras and stuff like that? Have you been able to experiment with camera gear just yet?
The first year is kind of just like a lot of like paper and pen and like just learning stuff, and not really so much hands-on. But I did join like one of the clubs that's like part of like the Texas Student Television. I joined the one that's kind of like Saturday Night Live, so it's just like sketch comedy. And there we get to mess around with like the big like, you know, 3-camera setup. And like wheel them around, but they're also kind of a little bit jank. Like they're kind of old because it's shared between all the different channels of it. And so there's like, you get to mess around with it. You get to use like a TriCaster and like as well as like a camera board control, and that's pretty cool. And like learning all of that has been like really fun. So I guess that would be like my most like hands-on experience so far.
And do you get to like do your own side projects?
Yeah, if you have your own like personal project, I know people like, you know, get together a group to like, you know, create like maybe like a short film or something, and then they will go and rent equipment, and that's possible, and you can just like get that and get it done.
One thing that I really wanted to dive in to with you was like internet meme culture, brain rot and stuff like that.
Oh,
like
God.
I feel like your generation has gotten super deep into that.
It's pretty bad.
How do you feel about it?
People are like, the younger generations are doomed. They don't even speak in English anymore.
Yeah.
I honestly think like memes have been around for like a long time. I think really it's like brain rot, I guess, just changes. Because like looking back on it, like watching like some of like the Tom and Jerry stuff and like SpongeBob stuff, like some of those episodes get really, really, really dumb.
Okay, fair.
Like the whole like SpongeBob like Mihoi Minoi thing, like I feel like that's pretty like equivalent.
You feel like we're being hypocrites?
No, but I do think like especially with like just the accessibility of like social media, it makes it a lot worse because things just spread so fast. So like one person drops like a really dumb word and then suddenly it's everywhere.
Yeah.
And it's always like the things that make absolutely no sense.
And there are some things where whenever they drop, I'm like, I really hope this doesn't catch on. Like the one that just came up recently was My Ball. Like, have you heard of that one yet?
I actually haven't.
In streamer culture, they're starting to say like my ball is like my girl. Like they're relating it to like basketball culture.
Interesting.
Yeah, I hate it, and I really hope that it doesn't catch on. Are there any terms that you already seeing that you're like, oh, these are kind of like early?
Okay, mainly because I don't have TikTok, right? So like I feel like that's where the forefront of like the major, you know, like new trends start, and then gets to like the other platforms later. So mainly when I scroll, it's Instagram Reels.
Yeah.
But it works because Instagram Reels are so bad that I can't scroll for too long. So it's kind of like a self-control method.
Oh.
But
And what do you mean you? It's so bad.
it's like some of them are good, but then there's just so many misses, and after a while, it's like this is boring.
So many misses.
This is boring. I put my phone down.
Fair. I
Right,
feel
that's
like when it comes to TikTok, and I do have a TikTok, but it's just for this pod. But I feel like when you go to TikTok, it's kind of like a wasteland. It's like there's just so much random crap, and once it gets to Instagram Reel, it's already kind of curated for you. It's already all the good stuff all the bad stuff is already been sifted out.
You know, I have a question for you. Do you know Natalie Tran?
I don't know Natalie Tran.
Really?
Yeah. Who's that?
It's the brain rot Instagram girl. She goes to UT Austin as well.
Whoa.
Yeah, she's actually just one grade above. I've seen her a few times. But the main thing is, you know, she's like a Vietnamese girl. And so ever since she got big, I feel like everywhere I go, they go, you're kind of like Natalie Tran.
Oh, dang.
And I'm just like, no! Guys, God forbid another Asian girl makes a joke. Like, hello? And so bad. They're like, no, it's not just the jokes. It's the same type of jokes. I'm like, oh.
So you say that you get the trends late because of like the TikTok to Instagram pipeline. Do you feel like that is also kind of a trend for you when it comes to like movies and film and stuff like that? It's like you're kind of hearing about things way too late.
Low-key, recently with movies and stuff, I haven't really kept up with releases because it's like, I feel like none of them have really caught my eye the same. So it's kind of just like, if I see an ad, I'm like, oh, this looks kind of interesting, or I hear about it from a friend, I'm like, okay, like, I'll go watch this. So honestly, with movies and stuff, it's like in the past, it was never even from social media. It was usually just by word of mouth or other people telling me like, oh, this one's coming out. I'm like, oh, let's go watch it.
Yeah. So in that same vein, like, you feel like you don't keep up with like movies too much right now. So then the question that I feel is begged here is like, what is the end goal then? You know?
That's a really good
because
question.
you talk about like what's happening in the movie industry now, and it's just like remake after remake. Of course, there's indie studios and stuff like A24 and stuff like that. But do you feel like for you yourself that you want to get into making like big projects?
See, the thing is like, honestly, with that question, it's like always the people like, what do you want to do when you like get the film major? And they're like, oh, do you want to be a director? Do you want to like do this? I'm like, and the answer every time is, I don't know, honestly, because it's like, yeah, it sounds really cool to be able to like, you know, make like a huge like blockbuster, like multi-million, hundreds of millions sort of movie, big spectacle sort of thing.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's still like a really cool thing to me. I'm not saying that like I wouldn't ever want that, but it's more just like thinking like, I guess, kind of realistically. It's like I like doing all sorts of things when it comes to like filming and editing. Like,
Yeah.
And whether that not is like making more like montages sort of things, whether or not that's like, there's like that one ad I did for the yo-yo.
Yeah.
That was pretty fun. And like, I think it's just like, there's a lot of little like branches that these sort of media things can apply to, like more than just, you know, you go Hollywood or go homeless sort of thing.
Yeah.
So it's like with that, I honestly don't know, because a lot of it is also, I feel like I haven't found like which aspect of it that like I'm more inclined to, because as of right now, I do like all aspects of it genuinely. Like even from the performing side of things, I was a theater kid, band kid, so I still also really like the performance side of things. But I also really like filming. I also really like editing. I also really like directing. And as of now, it's like I feel like maybe I haven't dabbled enough into everything to like really find out which one I might be geared to, or I might dabble in all of them and realize I still can't make a decision. So
and there's this big, like, I remember when I was in college and I was a film major, and I found out how much the big professional cinema cameras costs. They costed like anywhere from 50,000 up to like 250,000, and I remember seeing those numbers and thinking to myself, oh my gosh, like I am never gonna be able to do this like professionally at that level. Then the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera series came out, and I was like, oh my god, like this actually brings some level of like professionalism to people who just don't have that crazy amount of money. You look at these, you said 100 million, like I feel 100 million is low when it comes to budgets for these movies.
I know.
I'm like, who's doing the accounting for all this?
Like
where's the money going?
Honestly.
How are you spending so much? This is crazy. And then you figure out that a lot of the budget is going towards renting a lot of the gear, because a lot of these camera companies, you know, they don't sell the cameras, like Arri Alexas and stuff like that, or not Arri, but like a lot of the big cameras, they're not sold, they're only rented. Like the Univision cameras, or I forget what they're called, Panavision, there you go. And so like I do feel that there is a need for the film industry and just like media and entertainment in itself just to like dial down and have a lot more authentic, smaller creator style stuff.
Honestly, I think like like a big part of it I think was like when I like went to college and I like, you know, you look around at like the little student projects and then they're like, okay, we're looking for grip, we're looking for gaffer, we're looking for this. I'm like, what are those words? I don't know what you're talking about, man. I just walked around with the camera and we had someone on mic, and I was like hearing all these like positions and then like seeing the equipment. I'm like, dang, like what is this? Because I just go around with my camera. I'm like,
honestly, there's way too many positions on a film set.
I don't understand. Like there's so many, and then it's like assistant this, key this. So I was like, oh.
Honestly, I think this might get a little too might be a little
take.
too It's like everyone on a damn film set is so like they're so lazy. You want to fracture every little thing that you can get. We need someone running the coffee from person to person. We need someone heating it. And it's like, dang, dude, you need something for everything?
Because that's the thing. It's like whenever I did my own little things, it was like just me and my camera. And I go and then I take my own footage, plug into my computer, and I start editing, and then I go. And so it's like kind of like when I saw all the footages, I'm like, but what if I wanted to do more than just hold the stick? Yeah.
What if I want to do more than just tape a cord to the ground?
Honestly. And so it's kind of like with that, it's also like, yeah, you should go there and get the experience. But sometimes I feel like the experience is like, you know, it's different, I guess.
Yeah. No, I totally get it. And that's kind of why like I stayed away from a lot of that stuff. That's why I went to documentary, because it's like you're more out there and you're having to
you
like
just shoot, you go.
It's just you out there with a natural light, and you have to know what you're doing with the camera. It's like, especially with the cinema camera, like what I use, it's like you have to manually adjust for every little change that happens. And it's really hard to do, but I feel like it really trains you when it comes to being on like a set. Like you're relegated to just one little position, and it's like you're not getting the full experience. Hold for train. There's something that is to be said about like capturing the emotion, because I do like to get pre-planned shots when I'm out there like with a crowd or something, but also I like to just kind of like look around as I'm like walking around with the camera. When I see something, I point it up, and if I can kind of like spot something that's about to happen, and I feel like that's a skill in itself.
Yeah, and I think it's also like when you're just going around the camera, it's like really fast and often. I think like that was like a good thing like I learned from your class, was just you know, being able to be on the spot. When I'm like by myself as I'm filming, I'm like, I have like an idea of like how I want to edit it, or like what sort of shots I would want to like edit with. So then I think it's like harder when it's like broken down and someone else is getting the shot and you edit with it, or you get the shot and you don't know how it's going to be edited.
Yeah.
And I think that's like a big part. It's like maybe I'm just controlling, but I really like, you know, being able to like have an idea and be able to like make it come to life, because I know what I want.
Yeah.
And I think that's honestly also like a big part with like having so many roles. It's like, how do you like put aside that ego and like trust that things will turn out all right?
Yeah, there's a lot of ego on sets.
The thing is, like, honestly, it probably will turn out right. But the thing is, like, with things like arts, it's like the vision could be slightly different, and you just like have to accept it that it's slightly different.
Yeah. And the one phrase that I always kind of talked to you guys about was that start with the end in mind. That's like a general one, but I always modified it to be like shoot with the edit in mind. And I feel like you very much took to that. Like you understand, like whenever you're shooting something, you're already shooting it in such a way that you're thinking, okay, this is how I'm going to edit it. And like, that's a very valuable skill to have, but it does, you know, start to fall apart whenever you're not the editor, whenever you're not seeing a project through from beginning to end. And I very much like to see a project through from beginning to end. I don't like to start at the end or start towards the editing process. It's like, it starts to get a little convoluted.
When I made like that one ad, it was like, oh, I knew I wanted, I don't know if you saw, but there was like a part where she like throws it and like kind of spins.
Yeah.
Like I was like, that one's cool. I want that in it. So it's like I knew I had to shoot her throwing it and then like that sort of thing to edit with. Yeah. And that part, when I saw it like actually work, I was like, this is so cool. Like, this is great.
Yeah, when a shot works.
I know. I'm like, this is great. Awesome. Oh my God. And so like with things like that, it's like, wow. And also it's like, I feel like maybe because of like the way I'm used to editing montage stuff, I like to like match a lot on action. And so like, it's like, I know like when things go this way, it's like, ooh, if I line this up with here, it'll look smooth, and maybe people won't even notice it, but like it'll seem smooth, and they might not know why, but it's smooth, and I know why.
And that's kind of the goal in the edit, is for the edit to be invisible. You don't want people to start questioning your editing decisions. You just want to kind of like let it happen and then let it flow for people. Although there would be that pride of like, oh, you want people to notice your work. It's actually better if they don't, because then they're just accepting it.
Yeah.
It's just another one of the things, like whenever we started this podcast, one thing that we got from people sometimes were either one of two things. They told us like, oh, quality work, just like you always do. Or some people were like, dang, this looks really good. And it's like when people start to notice that kind of stuff, it's like, dang, what were we doing before that we didn't think was good?
What was wrong with before?
Yeah.
Dang.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, like there is a lot to be said about the pride that happens with film, and then like the pride that you just kind of got to let it go, because you know, it's like it's up to standard, it's good enough, or it's like it looks professional, so people just don't question it. And that is part of the beauty of it, I feel.
I think like especially the pride thing, there is so much pride. Like, you know, the film bro stereotype, right? I didn't like remember earlier when you're like, the people were like, yeah, I know everything about movies, and if your top 3 movies aren't this, and this, then like you have bad taste, sort of thing. And I feel like I didn't think those people actually existed, but they do. There's a lot. There's low-key like a lot of them, or it's just like people who I feel like it's like, yeah, I understand like, you know, the importance of like having your vision and wanting to execute it, but I feel like it's also equally important to be able to take feedback and like listen if someone else might have a different opinion and be open-minded to that sort of thing. Because it's like if you stay stuck on your own vision, you might have it, but there might even be a better like addition or change that you can make. And if you just like end up like not listening to everyone else because of your pride and what you think is right, then that's like a lost opportunity for like a lot of good things.
Dang, that's a pretty deep understanding you got there. I remember in college, I would have these guys that would invite me to like these kind of roundtable discussions about movies. And I remember showing up to one or two of them, and I was just like, okay, this is not where I want to be. Like, it's so self-indulgent that these people are just like, they're like, okay, we're going to sit down, we're going to talk about Citizen Kane. Have you seen Citizen Kane? I
actually haven't, but I know like the background of Orson Welles, that guy that made it.
What do you see?
In our class, we learned about how on radio he had a War of the Worlds thing, and like sent the entire America into panic because they thought aliens were real. and then they interviewed him. He was like, okay, I didn't think y'all were stupid enough to believe it. Obviously, no one wants to admit they're stupid. Yeah. And then he goes on to make Citizen Kane.
The War of the Worlds was just like a radio episode, essentially, where it sounded like the world was going into like chaos. And so everyone was panicking because they didn't know that it was just like a creative thing that Orson Welles was making.
It's pretty funny.
But I saw Citizen Kane for the first time in high school. I was just like, what is this? Like this is a boring movie, black and white. And then I saw it again on my own. I was like, let me watch it again. And then I started looking at the shots, and I was like, dude, how is he getting this shot? And that's when I started realizing, I was like, and even further back, I remember when I was a little kid and I was watching on MTV, Kanye's All Falls Down. whenever he's like, you probably haven't seen this music video, but there's a shot where he goes into a bathroom and he's looking at himself in the mirror, and you can see POV his hands, but you can also see him in the mirror, and he's talking to himself.
So where's the camera?
Yeah, that was my big concern as a kid. Like, I remember the light bulb switched off and I was just like, wait a second, where's the camera? Is it in his eyes? I was so confused as a little kid. And, you know, now you have behind the scenes stuff of a lot of these things. One of my favorite movies, Le Haine. It's The Hate in French. One of the opening scenes is a guy going in front of a mirror and like talking to himself. It's such a cool scene. I'll drop it in right here. It's so cool. I might have shown it to you, but there's things like that as a film person, you start to see them and it really sparks your curiosity. It really livens your passion for film because you see these things and you want to know how are they done.
And then you're like, I want to do that. Like, that's so cool. I think like another thing is like not just technique, but also just like small things. Like this shot looks clean. Yeah. Because like I actually just watched Joker the other day. I never watched it when it came out, but I was watching it. Like one of the things I was like, every shot looks so crisp in that movie, and like crisper than like other movies I've seen. And there was just I was just staring. I was like, this is so pretty. Like every shot is so pretty in this movie.
You're talking about the first one, right? Oh, it's such a beautiful movie.
I know. I'm like, this is gorgeous. Like, and like obviously the scene is like him killing someone, but I'm like, this is like really.
But they did it so well.
I know, it's like so beautiful, and I don't know what they did to it, but like it just looks so good. And it's like you see other movies that go on the big screen. Obviously, they look good because it's like high production. But there was something about Joker that just made it like extra pretty.
That's that concept of mise en scène. It's like everything in the shot, they nailed it to a T on every shot.
Yeah.
It's like, damn, dude, how do you nail every single aspect, detail, lighting on every shot?
So pretty. Like immediately after like I watched it, I picked up my phone, I texted my like other RTF friend. I was like, dude, it's so pretty. And she was like, you're such a film nerd. I'm like,
there's so much to love about film just in general. And the only problem is just like actually being able to do it.
Yeah.
You know, regrettably, it all comes back to the money.
The thing is like with film, I feel like it's just people don't understand how much time and how much money it takes to make what they're seeing. And that's also like a big part of it is like, you're like, I want to make this, but you also have to understand like everything that goes into it, whether or not it's like you might not get that position, you're gonna end up as like key grip or something, or like, you know, the sound guy, the boom operator. Yeah. And it's also like a risky thing, which is like I guess like the starving artist, like, you know, like trope. Yeah. And it's like the thing is like it's both like untrue in the sense like people can go and make successful careers, and there's like a lot more options than I think what people expect. But at
that's
the same
cool
time,
part of it.
Yeah, there's like so much more than what people think, because you're like, oh, are you gonna be like Christopher Nolan, or are you gonna like work at McDonald's? Like that's
and a lot of major producers, cinematographers, they got their start on a set somewhere, you know, just being a really small role. And so there is that upward mobility that you can have, but also there's a lot of pride on the sets where it's like if you try to like show that you're talented in this way, people might just shut you down and be like, that's not your role, sorry. And it's like there is kind of that element where you have to kind of make a name for yourself, and it comes by your work. And that's kind of that's the beautiful thing about film. It's like, it's not like, if you can show that you can make something good, the people will come, and if the people come, like, you're undeniable.
Yeah, it's like honestly just like a lot more hard work than I think what most people expect, because it's obviously like a lot of it's like joke with my friends, right? Because most of them are STEM people, and they're like, here comes the unemployed one. And so you walking in with like a yo-yo and like a camera, I'm like, hey guys. And like to some extent it's kind of true, but like not really. But it's more like in college, it's like they're all like, you know, studying for like a biology exam, or you're writing your papers, and over here like, I gotta watch this movie, homework. And it's like, yeah, it feels like a little bit funny, but I also think like when it comes down to the work that you have to put into it, it's like a lot of like gambling with things, taking big risks, and like having to like just put yourself out there more so than I would say other fields. Not saying like other fields aren't challenging, but I think like the thing with like having like a more set path for you, or like what's expected of the norm, versus you trying to like have to figure a lot of things out on your own and like just go for it and experiment, but like with the risk of like reality on you as well.
It's true, because Like a lot of these people, here's the actual thing. It's like there are people who have set paths, like let's say STEM, for example, right? Let's say you go deep into the STEM field and you become a doctor and stuff. It's like, how much freedom do you really have? You have security and you have like money, but like how much, you know, I never understood why doctors work like 72 to 80 hours a week. And it's like, that doesn't seem free to me. It does seem to me like your immediate family can have a good life and a good, easy, cushy life. But also like you yourself, you're trapped in this thing and you're like, you're in a hospital. They always need you. You're always needed. You know, you're on call even when you're not working. And it's like with something creative like this, there is a lot of inherent risk with going into it to not have security. Life is struggle anyways.
I agree.
Pick your struggle. Are you going to be like working yourself to death to like have tons of money, or are you going to be really struggling but like trying to figure something out that's really rewarding?
Yeah.
And that's what we do.
You know, like honestly, I was thinking about it the other day. I was like, if I were to like have gone down the STEM field and like pursue like a more like, I guess, secure life, it's like what sort of like thing would I do with the money? Because it's also like, I think like as a kid, a lot of it's like you think growing up is about, you know, obviously getting a job and then like raising a family, right? And I think at some point, like in high school, I thought about, I was like, right now, do I really like think about even like having a family? Like, is this like a thing? Or do I like, would I be okay with like living more so like my life and like going out and having fun, obviously with more risk, but at the same time, if I'm just trying to like self-sustain, that's like possible, right?
It's a lot easier.
Yeah, it's not as unrealistic as people would think, because I think a lot of it's the expectation is you should live as if you had a family and need all that money. But if you're just on your own, then it's also like, that's a lot less.
Yeah.
If I were to get like a 9-to-5 stable job, you know, like have, you know, pay time off, all the good stuff, right? Would I really be content with that? And I think a lot of it was like, I wouldn't have been, or I wouldn't be. Because I think just like, I live life, and so much of my joy comes from like just doing things. Like it brings me so much happiness. Like when I was like doing band at Turner, that brought me so much happiness. Like it was so fulfilling. It gave me like so much, like I was very content with all the things I did and like working hard for that and being able to like reach like success within band and like do all sorts of things. And then just like from that, I felt successful and happy and fulfilled with what I was doing. I was like, this is the sort of joy I get from like living life. So it's like, I want to carry that forward. And like a big thing with music, it was like, I didn't want to make a living out of music. I feel like I enjoy band for like the fun of it. But if I were to like turn it into like, try to like make a career out of it, I think it wouldn't be as fun. But I think the thing is like, after I joined like AV Productions and saw the things, I was like, this is something that I think I could make a living out of, like a career out of, like pursue it professionally and still enjoy the fun of it. And I think that was a big part, was like, I wanted to at least still have some fun, be in touch with like things that like creative and like, you know, you get to like put passion into it as opposed to just sitting at like a desk and working.
Dude, something that your generation, I credit a lot to them, is that you guys are able to end things. Like there's a lot of people who will like start something and get really attached to it, and then it comes to an end and it's like, oh my God, like I miss those days. And your generation, I feel like, is really good about saying like, okay, that was my era for this. It's like now time to start a new era. And like you're very good at, you know, ending a season. It's much like shows that go on for way too long. You guys aren't about that. You guys are like, let's end it and let's start something new.
A lot of things like people stick to is like, this is how it's always been. And we could go on about this for like all of history, basically. But I think like a lot of things with like the current generation is like, but why has it been like that if that's not good? Like a big thing is like, you know, like the environmental issues. Like I feel like a lot of it is catching up, because like even just during like my lifespan, which is not that long, but I feel like I remember like as a kid living in Dallas, Texas, like during the winters we would get snowstorms like at a regular time in December, like Christmas. Like you could have white Christmas. And then the summers were hot, but not like 110 degrees hot. And somewhere along the line, that changed to like the norm is like hitting 100 and seeing how far past we go for summer. And then no snow until like middle of like February or March, which is like odd. Obviously, I think like a lot of it is, you know, there are like natural like changes in environment, but it's also like seeing it, and especially with like social media and stuff that like allows people to see more. It like makes you like really want to like do more, I think.
Are you saying that your generation kind of feels like there is a doom, an overwhelming doom that's kind of laying over y'all, and so y'all want to get out there and just kind of live life while you can?
Both that and but also like try to get rid of said overlaying doom. Because I think living in like that sense of doom is not really favorable. And I think it's just also like, obviously, you know, like with history, bad things happen and bad things keep happening. But I think it's just like growing up in an era where information is so available and prevalent, and then like being able to see everything that's happening, there's a lot of like, you know, trying to like get rid of like what was the norm before, and like try to like at least try to change things for the better. Like, not saying like the generation is perfect. I still think obviously it's like, you know, full of a lot of different spectrums, different things, but especially like a big thing I think like amongst family is like, you know, when people talk about like generational trauma and trying to end that, like, you know, like if things have been passed down, that doesn't mean you should continue passing it down, even if it seems like that was what the norm was.
Yeah, break the chain and the establishment, all that stuff is very strong with you guys. Like,
yeah.
Okay, I see kind of where you're coming from. So here's kind of a big question that I have for you. It's like, how much change do you realistically think that you as one person can have? I know you're saying that your society wants to kind of get rid of this overwhelming doom, but like, do you think that there is like, where do you see the change happening?
I think the thing was like asking if just one person can fix it is what leads a lot of people to think that nothing will ever change, because they're like, if this person do this, like what impact does it make? But I think like also a lot of it is because like talking with like my friends, like the one film friend I mentioned, she's really big on like politics and government. So she's like stayed up to date on like all the recent happenings, like all the news. And I talk with her a lot, or like I get a lot of information from her because like she looks a lot more than I do, I'll be honest. Because I scroll a lot. but I think like a lot of it was like talking with her. She's like, yeah, even if like you yourself, one person right now, like a college student, say, think like you can't do anything. First of all, it's also just important to be aware about different things. Just like, because knowledge is power, ignorance is bliss sort of thing, right?
Yeah.
And then it's also just like thinking further into the future. Because we had a conversation with another friend once. She was like, I don't know anything I can do. But she was going to Medfield, right? And obviously, like, my other friends, sorry, just like friends back and forth.
Yeah.
But like, she mentioned like, okay, but like you're going to Medfield. So like, what will you do in the future if like, you know, more restrictions start getting placed on like medical practices and stuff? Like, will you have a reaction then?
Yeah.
And I think like a lot of it's just like, you think one person can't do anything, but obviously it's like in history and in presence, like, you know, groups of people come together and that's when change happens. And I think like, this might be a little political for it, but I don't know what's it, but like the recent protests and stuff, that was like across the nation and that was like big, right?
Yeah.
And obviously that's the sort of things that like gets people to turn heads, to like be more aware, to see like what's happening. And I think it's like obviously change doesn't really happen with like just one person.
Yeah.
But one person contributes to change.
That is a really cool thing about your generation, is that you guys are like collectively trying to make a change. And it's like, people might see that as kind of like cringe, or like might see it as like, what change can you really do? But it's like, at least you guys are freaking trying. You know, you guys are actually trying, and that's what's up. I myself am more like in here, you know, I'm trying to like figure out how to like have a good life and make the best of it, and like affect the people around me and stuff like that. But I think it is pretty honorable and noble that like your generation is trying to like really reach out there and have big positive impact on the world and society at large.
I don't think personally I'm the most, you know, like active out there person. Like, I think like at times there's a lot of times where I'm like, I should probably do more or like learn more about this thing. Because I'll admit, like, me myself is like also very much on the, you know, live my life to the fullest and, you know, like affect people around me. Like, I think I get a lot of fulfillment from seeing if I can impact people directly around me. And that's like a big part of like what drives me, you know. But I think also it's like, as I go through life, it's like I keep in my head as like I should be aware of the bigger scheme as well. And like just at least, if not do, at least know.
Okay. And see, I see it a little differently when it comes to me myself. It's like there is actual positive change that I can have. And so the things that I can affect, I will.
And I feel like that's also like respectable.
And like, to be honest, something like this, even though it's really small, is a lot more wide reaching, because me and Andrew, we've talked about this at length so many times, is like, how can we have the greatest impact? And like, this is something where we can actually, because we've seen what we've been able to do on a small scale with just sets of students across the years and stuff like that. Like, we were both educators and we've seen the impact that we've been able to have. And it's like, can we scale that up?
Yeah.
And this is something where that can happen. So it's like, yeah, I do like to kind of like live my life more closely and within, and like not try to like make the biggest change out there, but maybe sharing the way that we live here on a big scale, like a podcast, if it gets bigger and bigger, it could inspire more people to kind of start affecting people around them instead of trying to reach too far outward. And if you do that enough times, then you will actually start to make some change.
Yeah, I do think that's really important. It's like, when you set like a big goal, people forget that you do need to like have realistic steps to get to the big goal, or at least have smaller goals that like allow you to progress forward. Because I think the thing is, like, if you set a goal that's really like big and out there, right, it's easy to like get like demotivated from that goal when you realize you don't really know like what steps to take to get there, or so forth, right? Which I think like is also like a big thing with how I live, is because, you know, like, people ask like, what do you want to do with a film career? And the thing is, like, honestly, right now I don't have a big out there goal. As of right now, it's kind of like my small goals are me trying to figure out what I want to do like along the way. It's like, I want to like learn more about this and see how I feel about it. Learn more about this and see how I feel about it. Take this opportunity and like gain experience from here. Like, those are like my goals at the moment, which is why like kind of throughout the summer, or at least like coming up, I have like a videography gig for the camp that I used to go to, and then one in New York, right? And I think like I expect to learn like a lot about those, and they also give me like fulfillment just from it being like people I know and things I enjoy. Yeah. And that's like a big part of like what makes me feel like, you know, like this is good.
It's like a full circle life moment for you.
Yeah, it really is. Like, because that's the camp I've gone to as a camper, became a counselor, and then I reached out to them asking if I could like video for them.
That is so cool.
I know, yeah, it's like it's pretty cool. But yeah, like, and I honestly think like the whole like reaching people around you is also really important, because I think like leaving Turner, a big thing was like I really liked my high school years, actually. Like, you know, some people are like, high school. But honestly, I would like to remember them, because I think those were like some really good years for me. And like leaving Turner and being like, first of all, like with band, like seeing how many people were like, oh, like you did so much, like, don't go, we're gonna miss you. Like, even if it was just a small little Instagram comments, it was like seeing like, wow, like I did connect with different people and like reach different people. Yeah. And like that sense of like fulfillment was like, this is like really cool. Like, I got to make a change in somewhere that I was passionate about. And something that I enjoyed, I got to like let other people also share that enjoyment that I have. And I think that's a big thing. And like with the summer camp as well, when I became a counselor, it was obviously a lot more challenging than just being a camper. And I got to realize how much work got put into it. And it's really like exerting to like be in that week-long camp, like rounding up like little kids, right? But it's like at the end of the week, when like my campers were always like, you were like a good counselor, like we hope to see you again next year, that sort of thing is always like, you know, really moving to me. It's like I got to make a change here. So then I think from there, it's just like I want to keep doing that, and then it's like, as you guys do along the way, see how I can scale it up.
Hey, that is a very awesome way to look at it, I feel. I even had an experience where we had a friend of the show, Bo Alexander, come on, and then I got a DM that was like, oh my God, Bo was my camp counselor. He was so cool.
No way.
And it's like, that's so funny to see that, like, you know, something like that. So you're probably later on there might be a situation where one of your campers is like, oh my God, that's my camp counselor. She's on a podcast, you know, and it might inspire them to do something. And so I think that's kind of like what we should all be aiming to do, is just aim to inspire and aim to grow, and aim to scale our impact, you know. And so I really appreciate you coming on.
Thanks for having me here.
Of course. I'm so glad that we were able to make it happen. And thank you guys out there for watching. We really appreciate you. Make sure to like and subscribe, and ring that notification bell. And do you have anything that you want to plug or anything like that? Any socials?
Follow my media account, jojo.zip. It's kind of dead because I'm too lazy to post, but one day I'll have a consistent posting.
jojo.zip.
One day I'll be consistent. But maybe not today, but one day.
One day. We'll get there. We'll scale.
We'll get there.
And so thank you once again to Royalty Street for sponsoring this episode. We appreciate you all for watching. We'll see you on the next one.